here. So we have to listen to each other and then our policy stimulus like this, that ours is getting very out of it. So there are several issues, there are challenges, but we have to learn from our neighboring countries that few countries are doing.
100% of the 4.4 million ton of marine production comes from this state. But if you look at the inland production also, 65% of the inland productions comes from this only the coastal states. That means this coastal state not only contributes the marine fisheries but also inland fisheries including the aquaculture. And if you see the overall total, try to analyze the total fish production of these 9 states, 74% of the fish produced in the country are produced from these 9 states and 4 union territories. We know the issues, we know the challenges which will be discussed whole day. I don't want to discuss much. We have been talking of our huge EEZ area, 2.02 million square kilometers. In spite of the fact that so much of area we have not been able to go probably beyond 50-meter depth. Obviously, several regions, all of you know very well. I don't want to discuss. We have been able to harvest maybe about.
And I was very encouraged for him to hear him say that he saw Niti carrying forward the spirit of India's G20 presidency. And in ways that I'll just touch on briefly, I do think that there are implications of India's G20 presidency for this sector and even for this event. But let me first talk about Viksit Bharat at 2047 in general, but I think it applies also to this this event. So 25 years or 24 years now, 23 years actually, is both a long period of time but a short period of time. I mean, it is no more distant than 2000 when we were thinking about the Y2K bug, and we all know what has happened in the technology space in those 23 years. The image that the Honorable Prime Minister always raises, including at the governing councils, is that it took 25 years for Indian independence to become an impossibility, to become a reality, and so that is how he sees this Amrit Kaal. Now, as we've been thinking about providing some substance to the idea of Viksit Bharat, it seems to me, and this applies to this sector and to Niti's role, that we are talking about various kinds of realignment. One is realignment between the states and the center in a number of ways. The second is across states, and I have both what Dr. Chand had to say, which is there is one leading state in your sector. How do other states learn from that in Andhra? But my discussion yesterday in Trivandrum were the many areas, both positive and to some extent not negative, but where Kerala is leading. So you are leading in many ways, both in your diaspora, but also in the fact of your demography. So how Kerala solves the problem of an aging population will be relevant for a number of other states. And so states need to learn from each other, and Niti hopefully has a role to play as suggested by this workshop. A third pretty important transition though, and I hope that comes up in this workshop, even if I'm not present, is the redefinition of the roles of the public and private sector. I think that we tend to believe, because that was the history of the last 75 years, that all our problems are on the supply side, and that government schemes are the way to address them. And that's a natural tendency in all government bodies. But I think a very important mirror or reflection of what Dr. Chand had to say is that part of becoming Viksit is to be aware that the main drivers are going to be on the demand side of the economy, and that capital will and should flow to how demand is evolving. And you know, one just has to see the streets of Ernakulam and see all the shopping. All of this is not the result of government planning, but it's because Indian consumers are getting more affluent, their tastes and preferences evolve when they get discretionary income, and that's going to be across the board. And in a particular area which is not relevant to this event, it's also the case that investment will follow demand. The final point, two final points, are that technology is going to be an even more important driver of Viksit Bharat in 2047, and we've got a good ecosystem going, but I don't know whether in solving some of the issues that face this community in fishing, whether the application of artificial intelligence is going to be one way of addressing some of the differences. Finally, let me just talk or touch briefly, because I don't want to take up more airtime, on why I thought there was relevance of not only the G20, but also to some extent within the G20 other international forces. I think already we know that a large part of the additional demand is going to come from the domestic market, and that's all well and good, but it's also the case that export demand is going to be very influenced by the rising expectations and standards in the rich countries, which create need for standardization, traceability, all of those issues. But I also want to mention that there are important issues connected with fisheries that are arising at the WTO, concerns about illegal fishing, of overfishing, and I think the coastal states do have a great interest in what is negotiated at the WTO. As has already been mentioned, up till now we have been largely involved in what the WTO calls artisanal fishing, but the world is, and particularly the countries to the east, but maybe globally, is rather concerned about Chinese domination in global fishing, and certainly in Asian fishing. And so I think that there is an opening globally for people who want to diversify their sources of fishing. And it's in these respects that as we go from being the 5th largest economy in the world to the 3rd largest economy, global pressures and issues will, and opportunities most of all, will start to matter for our trajectory. And let me therefore just again thank the state and the organizers for hosting this, and wish the event every success.
Thank you very much, sir.
Scientists, we have people who are in trade, who are in export of fishery. So I just find that almost all stakeholders who matter for fishery are there in today's workshop. So from that angle, I feel it is a great opportunity for Niti to listen to you, to interact with you, and to get your views on how we harness potential of marine fishery. My colleague Regimon already explained the idea of holding these workshops. I would like to reiterate that Niti work with the states, and Niti, being a policy think tank, has a conviction that there is no substitute of evidence-based policy. We do not go for policy formulation that is developed based on purely theoretical postulates. We look at data, we have strong faith in empiricism, and we, along with data, also hold regular interaction with stakeholders in states. We hold that sometime in Delhi. We invite people from all the states, depending upon what is the issue being discussed, to center. Like 2 weeks back, we got some representation from some farmer producer organization to address their issues. So we invited representative of farmer producer organizations, state government officials, and central government officials to Niti Aayog and deliberated on issues that affect performance and progress of FTA. The second route is that we ourselves also go to states. In fact, member and BC regularly visit states, but during those visits we generally interact with government officials. Where opportunity is there, we also try to interact with other representatives from different sections of society. But this kind of workshop, they are more targeted. They are more targeted toward particular goal and particular theme. And our expectation is that we speak objectively, we speak reality, so that whatever diagnosis we have, whatever suggestion we make, they are anchored into reality. They are not just that we want to hide something, or we don't want to reveal something.